Hey everyone, welcome to this session by Intellipaat. I hope you guys had a beautiful day today, and on that note, I welcome you all to this session on SQL for Data Science. Guys, before we begin with this session, make sure to subscribe to the Intellipaat's YouTube channel and hit that bell icon so that you'll never miss an update from us. Alright, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, let us check out the agenda for today. We'll start off by taking a quick introduction to SQL, and after that we'll have an introduction to data science. And after that, post understanding what data science is, we're going to check out some skill sets associated with data science, and we'll check out the programming aspects of SQL and data science, followed by a beautiful demo showing you the working of SQL when used alongside SQL and how powerful of an entity it becomes. And ladies and gentlemen, at the end of it, as always, to all of my dear viewers, I have a surprise at the end, so make sure to stick till the end of the video to make most use of this and to kickstart your career in the field of information technology. All right, on that note, here is the first item on the agenda. It's the introduction to SQL. Well, the first question one must ask when checking out about any information technology related topic is what it actually is. See, for example, if you have to talk about SQL is very simple. It's called as SQL or SQL for the people who might be wondering. It stands for Structured Query Language, and it is one of the beautifully written standard language which basically is used to work with databases, relational databases to be very precise. So the relational database, what we mean by relational databases is nothing but the data is interrelated to each other. It can be mapped to each other in a relational database. See, for example, if you take an Excel table, that is standardized structured data, because at the end of the day you can map one table to another and much more, right? So here in case of SQL, we have primary keys, candidate keys, and much more. So the system of keys is used to map aspects in particularity of the relational databases. So coming to the goal of SQL, well, I think this has one particular goal which is very powerful, is to ensure basically that when you're working with a database, say for example you're creating a database, you're altering a database, you're deleting a database, working with tables, whatever it is that you're doing, you should do it in the most efficient way possible, in the most powerful way possible. But with this, you might be wondering, does it get complex? Well, no, SQL is actually very simple at the same time. So this is a win-win for all the beginner programmers, and in fact even to the advanced people in the field as well. So let's say to give you a visual analysis of how it works for the people who haven't been to SQL. Guys, if you pretty much work with SQL, make sure to head down to the comment section below and put down any queries you have, any suggestions you have, or whatever it is that you guys want to discuss. Our team is here. They're standing by for your comments, and they're here to help you guys. So make sure you head down to the comment section below and do let them know. Alright, so coming back to the visual aspect of it, see, data is generated in multiple places. Think of social media, think of the photos you click on your phone, think about news, think about whatever it is. You are surrounded by data. You cannot, there is a statistic which says you cannot turn your head 90 degrees without seeing data in some place. 90 degrees, yes. So with that kind of a world we live in, data gets generated a lot. And basically when data gets generated on this extent, it has to be stored. And basically after storing it, or in fact even while storing it, SQL is basically used. And the commands that we use, the programming aspect of SQL is called as a query, because once we start querying the database, it means we are talking to the database and dealing with it at the same time. So the advantage here being is that the data is stored in a very structured way. It is accessed very easily and can be worked on very, very effectively at the same time. So quickly coming to another visual aspect of what it might look like. So SQL is all about communication with a database. It is considered to be pretty much one of the standard languages for relational database management systems, as I told you. For example, here is a sample query. Here is an SQL statement: select a name from customers. So as soon as this is pretty much typed in by the person, whoever is working with the database, see, the database name is not given here, but the table name is customer. All right? So once this person pretty much goes through this query, the statement is actually sent into the RDBMS, the relational database management server, and once the data is retrieved, all the names are retrieved from the server, pretty much the server actually pings back and gives them the output. For example, we had a customer table here, and we had 4 names in the customer table, starting with Lucas, Ram, Robert, Jack, and much more if there was there, but in this case there were 4, so we got 4 as the output. So it is pretty simple, guys. So on that note, you might be asking a quick question: so who uses SQL in today's world? Well, let me tell you, every one of the big Fortune 500 companies, every one of the $1 million, $1 billion companies, and in fact the $1 trillion company Apple makes use of SQL as well. And it's not all about the big guys, all these startups in today's world. Look around you guys, how many startups are hitting really well in the market, right? So they are collecting a lot of data. Even they need to store it and use it. So everyone from Airbnb, Uber, Netflix, Pinterest, Dropbox, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, any social media you can think of is using a form of query language to work with their databases, guys. So to give you an example of why we need structured data, think of a car manufacturer. Think of your favorite car manufacturer, ladies and gentlemen. So the cars come in a lot of variety. See, there are different models, as you can see on your screen. There are different colors of the same model. There are different variants. One can run off petrol, the other one can be a diesel powered engine, and there are many other metrics as well. For example, you can choose wheelbase, you can choose packages in the same car, starting from the minimalistic option till a fully loaded car, if you know what I mean. So this, again, you can have all of this mapped really nicely. Think of putting all the details in an Excel sheet, and this is almost similar to a relational database management system. So after this example, I want you guys to take a quick introduction to data science as well. And again, the first question we ask when we're learning something is, what is that? So when you talk about what data science actually is, in the most basic form, it basically means that we're converting raw data into meaningful, useful information, which basically is used as a foundation to drive a data-driven business to success. So basically, you're taking an entity, a raw entity like data, which is absolutely of no use just as it is, and converting it into very good information and obtaining so much insights from it, such that it drives the entirety of a business to success. Yes, so converting something from useless to useful, and which eventually becomes the heart of the company, that is what a data scientist does. And data science is a beautiful field in today's world. And of course, data scientists make data a friendlier entity in today's world. Well, before I tell you why data is not so friendly, we need to understand the concepts of which revolve around data science. The first thing is data architecture. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when you have to talk about data architecture, when you're working with a lot of data, you need to understand the data. You need to know how the data is put into your ecosystem, how the data can be worked there, and how it can be pushed out. Coming to data pre-processing again, see, with respect to data science, we'll be working with a lot of mathematics, a lot of statistics. Even a small, discrepancy in your data, a redundancy in your data can lead to a lot of, false positives, false negatives as well in the results. So what I mean by that is, it'll hurt the accuracy of detection in your model, and it basically makes your model less efficient as well. So that is one very important step. And to avoid all of these, for example, there are concepts such as outliers and much more. So when we have to deal with it, overfitting, model underfitting, there are so many things, guys. So to ensure that everything is as efficient as it can get, data pre-processing is very important. Coming to artificial intelligence, of course, the goal of data science mostly in today's world is to ensure some sort of pretty much autonomous systems are put into place. So that can be done by considering 2 elements or 3 elements, in fact. See, we have machine learning, we have deep learning, pretty much we have neural networks, ANNs, artificial neural networks, and many other concepts. So these fall under the same umbrella of artificial intelligence. At the end of the day, again, again, the goal of machine learning, the goal of deep learning, the goal of neural networks, whatever it is to ensure that the world can achieve artificial intelligence of some sort. And again, coming to data analytics, of course, after you've understood how your data works, after you've processed your data, after you've implemented something on the data, you need to analyze how well something is being implemented. That is data analytics. Using current trends to predict a future event is analytics, guys. And then coming to data visualization, of course, I've read a statistic post which says that the human mind can process images 3000 times faster than text. So if this is the case with visualization, you'll be creating beautiful looking graphs, and the chances of you selling something to someone or you putting the thought into someone's head is 3000 times faster. Well, why decline that? Data visualization plays a very, very vital role in just that. And then if you have to talk about SQL alongside other tools in today's market, SQL, guys, let me tell you this. Read the first line. I've put it in the biggest font that I wanted to put it in. It's that SQL is one of the most requested skills in data science. You might be wondering, hey, Python is needed, R is needed, so is SQL. So why is SQL this important? Ladies and gentlemen, look at the topic again. It's data science. To understand the data very well, you need to understand how to work with it and the basics of how to store it, how to use it, right? So SQL plays a very important role. And after that, of course, you will learn programming, you will use Python, you will use languages such as R for analysis and much more. And what these three does, Python, R and SQL for data science, it is basically end game. So these tools work so well with each other. In fact, these tools work hand in hand in most of the cases. For example, R has its own advantages, Python has its own, of course. But then when you consider it on a whole, these three tools have revolutionized the way we look at data science. And of course, I told you about the data problem, right? See this. There are 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every day. Ladies and gentlemen, if you know what a quintillion is, make sure you head on to the comment section and do let the dear viewers know, because quintillion is a lot of zeros that you need to put in, and this is every single day. Now imagine walking into your favorite computer hardware store and buying up a 1 terabyte hard disk, or buying a 32 gigabyte pen drive, for example, or a memory card. Now think about a quintillion bytes. So the entire world is generating this every single day, and it has been generating this for the last couple of years, and this number is just exponentially going up. That's today's big data problem. And of course, before, information wasn't considered, data wasn't considered very important. Now, as I told you, it is right in the center, it's in the soul, it's in the heart of every company, every data driven company, to be very precise. So I hope you guys are clear with the data problem. And in fact, with that, let us start out with how SQL and data science can pretty much work together hand in hand. But to do that, you need to understand why SQL, why data science. Guys, the biggest advantage that SQL gives to any learner is that it gives you straight up direct access to the data. And this, when we have to talk about data science, there is no redundancy, there is no platform where you have to wait for your data, there is no platform where your data is duplicated, worked on, or whatever it is. When you're working with SQL with respect to data science, you are in a direct path, direct shootout strike path with your data, guys. And this is very important when we have to talk about data science in today's world. Coming to the talk of where SQL stands and how many jobs do we have. So here is a very small snippet of somewhere around 300 jobs that were picked to understand which tool is the most required tool as per these jobs with respect to data science. Of course, Python is number one. Python is an amazing tool to learn. R is number two. R is catching up really quickly with Python. And of course, look at number three, ladies and gentlemen. Number three on the list, we have SQL. SQL is, as I told you, is one of the very much required skill, requested skill in all of the job descriptions that actually went through to make this particular survey. And out of somewhere around 280 or 300 jobs, 231 of them told, yes, we require proficiency in SQL. And of course, there are many other things. There's big data, there's Spark, there's Hadoop, there's Java, Scala, there's much more. Guys, if you do not know any of the terms you're looking at on your screen right now, do not worry. Make sure you stick till the end of the video with me, and I'm going to guide you on the quickest way possible to make your IT dream career come true. On that note, I am rephrasing, guys. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, make sure you head on to the comment section below, and let's keep it interactive there. All right. So moving on to the next one, pretty much when we have to talk about the data science point of view, when we talk about SQL is very well used for two things. One is data pre-processing, where we are cleaning the data, working with the data, visualizing it, and everything else. And the second part of it is machine learning. Machine learning is where again you can start writing SQL queries directly, and pretty much that is used to perform machine learning activities. For example, you can do a lot of linear regression algorithm working. You can create a lot of logistic regression models. You can work with a variety of data as well. But then SQL or with data science for a machine learning application right now will be a lot to take in for all the novice and the intermediate level viewers we have. And of course, if you're an expert, then you can catch up very quickly. But to keep this video to the aspect of all of the wide band of users we have here at Intellipaat's YouTube channel, we have kept it a little simple so that you guys can understand it thoroughly. All right. Now, quickly coming to the demo aspect of it, as I guided you, let me quickly talk about Kaggle. Kaggle, if I have to say it in one sentence, is basically like an Airbnb for data scientists, and where pretty much these guys will spend their day in, day outs, weekends, weekdays, wherever, programming, learning, implementing whatever they are learning, and much more. So it's basically a crowd source platform, which is used to enhance a lot of learner ability. It attracts learners, nurtures them, trains them, challenge them. The training aspect of it, I'm a little doubtful, but of course it challenges the data scientists from all around the world. They solve all the data science problems, machine learning problems, predictive analytics problems, and much more. And of course, not many of them are industry level grade, or majority of them are not, but it is a very good platform to start out with. And coming to the Google Cloud platform, it is a form of cloud computing in simple words, because at the end of the day, you're accessing information, you're accessing data and storing it over the internet instead of just chucking it into your own hard drive. You're basically putting it onto someone else's hard drive, stored somewhere across the world. So that is a very good understanding of why today's world, why today's big data problem is being handled, where you're chucking your own data into someone else's hard drive, ladies and gentlemen. That's a little bit of humor for you. And then to talk about the variety of services that GCP offers, basically they give you storage, they give you databases where you can work with, they give you a lot of networking options, they have their own machine learning handles. They pretty much tell you how you can understand and work with big data as well, and much more. I can go on to list 100 features of GCP and we'll not be done for the day as well. So GCP is one amazing thing. So why we talked about Kaggle and GCP is that we're actually going to use this in this quick demo that I've planned for you guys. And of course, we have one more thing, basically a warehouse, what we call as BigQuery. And of course, BigQuery is basically an enterprise level data warehousing solution, and this is put into place, and we're going to be using BigQuery to ensure that we punch in our SQL queries within a very super fast way, and we're going to be using the processing power of Google's infrastructure. Google is very powerful. I am sure you guys know it at this point of time. So here is what the documentation say. The people at Google BigQuery say, simply move your data into BigQuery and let us handle all the hard work there is to do. And of course, that seems very catchy and very attractive. And at the end of the day, it is very simple and nice to work with at the same time. So guys, again, coming to how we're going to implement BigQuery is basically, this is where this is the tool that we'll be using. This is a warehouse tool that we'll be using to basically go on to write queries, which pretty much picks up data from a Kaggle data set and worked on using the computation power of Google Cloud Platform, and much more at the same time. So the data set, the problem that we have at hand is basically considering the OpenAQ data set. So OpenAQ is basically an open source project which gives us the air quality measurements of places around the world. So there are 5,490 locations of where data is measured from, and this is basically done in 47 countries across the world. So what it does is it basically gives you air quality of it gives you real-time air quality, surface life quality, and much more from around the world, right? So this is why is this used? Well, we need to analyze and we need to assess the air quality around us at a constant rate. It has to be done as a part of our daily lives, because again, there is so much climate change happening, and we have to do everything we can to track and prevent global warming as well. And of course, this was one of the very beautiful data sets which I found very interesting, and hence we're going to check this out. And of course, you get to learn a lot when you're understanding a data set such as this as well. So basically, there is a lot of questions we can ask on the data set and eventually get answers to. So when you're looking at the data set, you can see the location. For example, we have BTM layout in the city of Bengaluru, India, and the pollutant. What is the pollutant? There's carbon monoxide, there's nitrogen dioxide, there's ozone, and much more. And what is the value it is at, what time it was detected at, what is the unit that it is being measured in, it's micrograms per meter cube, what is the source it was got from, and its coordinates in latitude and longitude, and what is the average number of times it has been calculated in hours, and much more. So to handle all of this, we will follow an order, ladies and gentlemen, in this demo, and this is the order. We will start out by connecting the Kaggle kernel with BigQuery to ensure that these two entities talk to each other in a very well way. And of course, after that, we need to go on to import a data set where we are working on the data set to understand what this data is, how we can bring it into the Kaggle kernel and work with it as well. Of course, you can make use of any Python notebook, any Jupyter notebook there is to work with this as well. I mean, of course, there are tiny fine print code which might change on how you import the data set, how you work with it, and so much more. But of course, you can use multiple varieties of kernels to work with this. So after importing the data set, the third step is to understand the data, and I'll be guiding you through the same. After which, you'll be performing data processing to understand the data better, and we'll be summarizing this entire thing to ensure we understand what is going on with the data, and we're doing that to ensure we can achieve it in a successful way, in a structured way as well. So after basically summarizing the data, we'll go on to finding a solution to the problem we have at hand. The problem we have at hand is basically to analyze the air quality around us, to basically check where what component might be. For example, we can measure carbon monoxide, where it is in the highest in the entire globe, and much more as well. And after that, as I told you, we're gonna make full use of that 3000 times better understanding concept of human beings, where we're gonna visualize it and show it in forms of graphs rather than just text, so that you guys can understand it better. All right, so on that note, let us quickly jump into the Kaggle workbook, where we can go on to check and work with it. So here is my Kaggle workbook. All right, so to talk about this in a very simple way, we will actually basically, this was created as a BigQuery project using the Google account platform. And what Google account platform will do is, the Google account platform will basically give you a very simple project ID key, and this project ID key at the end of the day is basically put into here to ensure that the Google Cloud Platform account can talk to Kaggle kernel. And after this, basically by running this simple set of code, it's going to be set up and ready. So we have multiple dependencies here. We're importing BigQuery from the Google Cloud, and of course we need matplotlib to ensure we're plotting it. And of course, for numerical handling and statistical calculations, we need NumPy, guys. So basically, as soon as I go ahead, one second, right, my bad. So as soon as I go ahead and run this query, pretty much, after this query has executed itself, all of the dependencies are sorted, and the project ID is detected. If there is a dependency, with respect to your Google Cloud Platform, it is going to throw you an error, and you need to understand the error. And 99% of the time, it will be something related to your Google Cloud Platform account, guys. And of course, after doing this, all we're trying to do here is set the project to project ID, where the server exists, what is the data set that we're going to create, and to check if it exists or not. So this exists _ OK is basically telling us if it's true, then it means that it actually exists. If not, create it on understanding whether if it exists or not, guys. So after this, we're gonna have to go on to use the data set, right? So I just showed you a snippet of what the data set might look like. Now let us actually check it out. But before we actually check it out, we need to create something called as a reference for the table of data that basically is present, So this data set, as I told you, contains information about air quality everywhere from around the globe. So let us just print the first 10 rows of the data set, right? You can actually change whatever number you want to print. See, for example, you might wonder why there is a 9 at the end. This is because Python indexes from 0, ladies and gentlemen. So 0 is the first element, and of course 0 till 9 is 10 elements. And this can be changed. See, for example, if 10 is too much for you guys to print and see, then you can always change this to 5 or whatever number that you guys want to work with, and it's going to print that many data frames out for you guys, where you can check out the data in detail. And after this, you need to understand that we have to check out how many cities in one single country is basically used to understand what amount of measurements are present in that country. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are checking this out in detail, you're going to understand that this is where we actually see an SQL query for the first time in this use case. So here, all we're trying to do is we're measuring how many measuring status. So basically, sorry, let me rephrase in a less confusing way. So all we're trying to do is we're trying to understand what is the number of measuring stations that is present in every single country, which is given in our data set. So the query goes like this: select country and count of location. We want the count of location because we're trying to get the number of measuring stations, right? So we're basically calling it as number underscore of underscore locations from where. So basically, big queries, public data, where open AQ data set is stored, and it's global air quality as well. So this is where we're getting the data from, and what are we grouping it by? So we need we need an aspect where we are grouping it when we're working with SQL. So in this particular case, we're going to group it by country. And how are we going to order the data? Because if you randomly print it out, it's going to give you, of course, all the number of locations that is present. But if you have to change it around a little bit, if you have to make sure that it is printed in a very nice way, we can go on to print it in the descending order, so the maximum number of locations is printed on the top. So here you can see in a country like China, there are 4,756 measuring locations. In the US, there are somewhere around 3,700. France, there is 1,600. In India, we have 1,486, and much more. From the maximum in China all the way till Australia, again, of course, this has been cut short, and you can pretty much view multiple you can view the entirety of the data set as well. But to ensure, again, readability is everything, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you guys know at this point of time when you're working with this. So after this, after seeing where we have the most stations, we understand that China has a need for some kind of air pollution control, because now we can see that there are so many stations there, and there is a reason for that, right? So after this, basically we can try to understand if there are any anomalies basically in the data. And how can we do this? Well, we do this by again making use of another SQL query. This is the power of SQL and data science. So we're going to make use of this particular SQL query to understand two aspects of variables. One is value and the other one is averaged in hours. So let me quickly walk you through the query, and then I'm going to tell you what value and averaged over in hours means. So here is the query. So basically we're selecting the value and we're selecting the averaged over in hours from, again, the same aspect from the table which is present there, where unit is equal to micrograms per meter cube. So we are determining values and average over in hours from the table where the unit is micrograms per meter cube. So if we go on to run this piece of code, what it will actually represent to us is that the value column you guys see here, the value column will actually give you the latest value of pretty much the pollutant that is actually present. And average over in hours, this is a basic representation of the number of hours. This basically the value was averaged over. See, you can see multiple aspects. You can see the count, you can see the standard deviation, the mean of it, the minimum value, the deviations, 25% deviation, 50%, 75%, what is the maximum value, and much more. So when you look at data like this in this amount of detail, which might not be visible to the naked eye, that adds a lot of value here itself. See, at this point of time, we are just seeing the data and we're just checking out what's going on. We have not even done any sort of analysis, and already we get huge amounts of clarity here, right? So to basically, to understand further, we need to perform some analysis, and the analysis we're gonna perform here is to ensure that we calculate some aspect. See, let us take for example a pollutant which is very harmful to the Earth's atmosphere. It is ozone. So there are many things like running an air conditioner, for example, or running a refrigerator, where the refrigerant, if leaked out to the world, can cause the presence of ozone, and ozone eats away the layer in the atmosphere, and that brings out the harmful cosmic rays from the sun. So to ensure we understand the average presence of ozone gas in different parts of the countries, let us create a very simple bar chart, and this bar chart is created with the help of none other than the matplotlib library, and this will give us a very good understanding of what is going on with respect to our data. Again, we have a query here. We're picking up the country, where we're using an aggregation function. Ladies and gentlemen, this is called as an aggregation function. You will see average as it cannot only be average, it will be minimum, it will be maximum, average, sum, difference, whatever you see like this, they're called as the aggregation functions in SQL. So basically, we're picking up the country and the average value from the exact same table that you're working with, where what are we hunting for? We're hunting for ozone. Ozone is called as O3 in our table, right? So let me quickly go up. See, for example, this is carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, and we have O3. So all the O3s, the ozone gas present, that's what we're trying for. And for example, we might not pick up a country as well, where country there are many countries that we might not pick up, and there is the same unit, micrograms per meter cube, that we'll be checking on as well. And how are we grouping this? Because ungrouped data might not give you good readability. We're grouping it, of course, by placing the country aspect here, and we're ordering it in an ascending order of average value. See, what this does is, when we order this in the ascending value, we're going to get the country where there is minimum ozone, all the way till country which has the maximum ozone. And after we run this query, basically we're going to create the model, the plot, using matplotlib, and just a simple bar chart has been created, and we just have provided the labels to it. The labels is NO2 values, for example, pretty much, instead of NO2 we're measuring O3, so we can go O3 here, and much more. You can select the font, see how much you want rotations, what is the x-axis label, what is the title to this particular bar plot that you're doing, and plot.show will basically print it out. So let me quickly go ahead and run this query, and as soon as the query is run, ladies and gentlemen, look at this beautiful graph rather than the numbers that we've been seeing for a while. China has the maximum ozone in its air detection system, and somewhere down the line, pretty much there is many countries. US is a little bit on the lower side of ozone. Pretty much, we have so many countries there as well. We have France, we have Brazil, and we have many other countries. So this aspect of it, right? So when you're looking at this graph, we understand that the ozone level has gone up in an ascending order, and the most worry it puts around scientists or any data specialist who's working with this data set is to understand how and where they can control what pollutant in today's world. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope this demo was very clear for you guys. So coming back to the PPT, I have to give you the average salary of a data scientist. This is something I was requested multiple times by learners, even for this video as well. So working with SQL, does it provide any advantages? Well, the advantage is, if you're a data scientist, you will know all of these concepts while you're giving while you're getting a very good compensation, $132,000 in USA, 18 lakhs per annum in India, and 65,000 pounds in the United Kingdom. And ladies and gentlemen, all of these values you see on your screen is basically considering the lower threshold, considering the upper threshold, and merging it into giving us a mean value. So if you're thinking that, will I only get 18 lakhs per annum in India, will I only get 65,000 pounds in the UK? Well, no, you can get two-folds of these, 3 times of this, if you've got the right skills, and of course if you've got the right certification, ladies and gentlemen. So on that note, my final thoughts on this particular aspect is that when we have to talk about anything data science, when we have to talk about anything statistics, this is one quote which I absolutely love. It says, "It is very easy to lie with statistics, but it is very hard to deal and tell people the truth without it." Well, to explain this quote for a second, guys, you can lie to anyone saying this happened way back in the year 2005 and it can be considered as a lie without proof. But then, if you have to tell the truth to someone, you need some statistic to prove that, right? So this is a very simple yet convoluted thought given to us by Mr. Andres Dunkels, and I absolutely love the quote. And when you have to talk about data science as a career, ladies and gentlemen, this is the most trending job in the world today. Yes, most trending. It is standing on the #1 position. Make sure you check out the top 10 careers video we have after watching this particular live video to get an understanding of the importance of data science in today's world. And on that note, you might be wondering, okay, this seems very interesting, and of course I want to kickstart my career here. I want to get that very good salary, so where can I go for further learning? Of course, ladies and gentlemen, I love this quote. This quote is by Benjamin Franklin. He said way back that an investment in knowledge always pays the best interest. Of course, everything can be taken away from you: money, status, power, whatever you think about it. There is one thing people cannot take away from you that you can use to the maximum, which is of course knowledge. And there is this one amazing quote one of my dear friends told me. He told me that your brain is the strongest muscle. So you might be going to the gym, you might be lifting 50 kilos, 100 kilos, whatever the amount of weights you're lifting. You're training the muscles in your body, but the strongest muscle that's present is your brain. So make sure to use it wisely and make sure this provides a very good foundation for a good life ahead. And guys, of course, we have thousands and thousands of videos on the Intellipaat YouTube channel. So make sure you check it out for any IT related concept. We have many software architects, and we have a beautiful content team who create content day in and day out for you guys. But if you're not much of a video person, if you want to read blogs, if you're much of a reader, we have an entire Intellipaat blogging channel where again, we have experts writing blogs day in and day out for you guys by taking in all your requests and much more. So if you have any requests, guys, again, head to the comment section below and do let us know. We'll be more than happy to teach you guys about it. And of course, we have the Intellipaat community where we get this is basically a technical and a semi non-technical forum where we get people we have a wide variety of audience, from the very young people all the way to the old people, who bring in amazing questions that they might have related to any technology. We have a wide range of technology. We talk about general questions, hardcore technical questions that we also discuss in the Intellipaat community. So make sure you check out the Intellipaat community as well. And on that note, of course, if I have to give you the quickest way that you guys can become data scientists in today's world, I present to you the Intellipaat Data Science Architect Masters program. So basically, this is one of the very well-revered course we have here at Intellipaat. We have almost 10,000 learners here. So basically, you will be working on amazing real-life projects after learning the course. You'll have real-life projects in R, Hadoop Developer, Hadoop admin, testing, analytics, Apache Spark, Scala, deep learning, data science with SAS, SQL, MongoDB, whatever you name it. We will give you 10 beautifully put together courses alongside 53 projects, and this will be spearheaded with 232 hours of learning. And ladies and gentlemen, this program also will give you an exclusive access to the IBM Watson's cloud laboratory for the chatbots course, because this entirety of course is created in collaboration with the industry giant IBM. And of course, to talk about the key features, we provide 232 hours of instructor led training in an online classroom, and we have the self-paced training with recorded videos worth of 104 hours. And as always, here at Intellipaat, we believe that you need to be given the right exercises, you need to be given the right project work at the end of the day, because this is what matters on your resume, this is what matters to your employer, this is what matters to you and your knowledge. So we give you 253 hours of real-time projects, all our industry level projects that you'll be working with. Capstone projects, of course, will give you lifetime access, free upgrades to the latest one whenever you choose to come back to the course. You pick it up, you do the course now, 5 years from now you're going to do it again. Of course, you will always have it, and you'll be learning the latest version at that particular point of time. And the other thing we promise here at Intellipaat is lifetime 24/7 technical support. So any questions you have, you can raise a ticket to us, and our team will be waiting 24 hours of a day, 7 days of the week, 365 days of the year to help you with any support you need and query resolution, of course. And after that, you will get a global recognized industry level certificate, and this will guarantee you pretty much jobs across the world if you have understood everything that is taught on this program, if you've completed all the assignments, all the project works. Because at the end of it, we give you job assistance, and this job assistance is through 80 plus corporate tie-ups in the industry giants that we have here at Intellipaat. And of course, you guys might come from a variety of background. You might be working right now, you might be a student, you might be a person who's working from home. Whatever it is, guys, make sure you call our course advisors, and we can give you a schedule. We can give you a schedule that basically will suit the best of your needs, understanding everything there is that you might be going through. And of course, there are multiple questions that you can ask, like why should you learn this, who will learn it, what are the prerequisites, why should you pick up your training programs. Guys, there are n number of questions pretty much you can ask, but do understand it is the best job in the entirety of the century. So when there is a trend like that, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you jump on the train. And of course, coming to the course content, let me tell you one thing for the people. The TLDR is basically ensure that you guys download the entirety of the curriculum, go through it in detail. You can do it with our course advisors for free on call or mail as well. So if I have to explain about a course content, about one particular module, let's talk about data science with R. Again, you can check out sample videos here as well. You can check out the individual modules that you guys will be learning, the hands-on exercise corresponding to that module. And if you keep scrolling down, look at, there are so many things in just one module to study. There are case studies, there is multiple projects. If I have to pick a random project, see, for example, there is a project here. We give you the industry of where this project is mapped from, so you understand that this is an industry level project, the problem statement, the topics you'll be covering with, the highlights of this particular project, and so much more. And this is just one particular course in this master's program. And ladies and gentlemen, we have Python for data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence and deep learning with TensorFlow, big data, Hadoop and Spark, of course. We have Tableau Desktop, which gives you very good introduction and working with Tableau, which is an amazing data visualization tool. We have advanced Excel, and with respect to database handling, you get to work with Microsoft SQL and MongoDB as well. So ladies and gentlemen, the learning path is amazing. You will start out with understanding Excel and MS SQL. You're going to start with data science with R. By the end of the 12th week, you will begin working with Python for data science, machine learning, statistics. And at the end of the 16th week, you'll be working on Spark and Scala, MongoDB, Microsoft SQL. And at the end of the 30th week, pretty much you'll be an expert in all of these concepts, including Tableau Desktop 10. And you'll be working with SAS and, for example, even concepts of Hadoop at the end of it. So after the 34th week, ladies and gentlemen, you will be certified as a data science architect master. Yes, a data science architect master. And it is just not for the certification that you'll be doing. Let me tell you, this certificate can be used, this course can be used to clear multiple certifications. You can clear the CCA 175, which is basically the Cloudera, Spark and Hadoop developer certification. You can clear the Tableau Desktop Qualified Associate exam, SAS SAS certified base programmer. You can pretty much pick up the C100 dev as well, which is the MongoDB certified developer associate exam, Microsoft 7761 and 7762 SQL server certification examinations, guys. Pretty much you will be awarded with the data scientist certificate, which is given by the people at IBM, basically, because multiple learning paths here include various concepts which are co-created with the help of IBM. Everything from deep learning with TensorFlow, building chatbots with the Watson Assistant, R for data science, Spark's machine learning library, Python for data science, and much more. And this certificate that you see, ladies and gentlemen, will give you a very good chance at basically applying for the most recognized industries in today's world, from the biggest companies such as Cisco, Cognizant, Mu Sigma, TCS, Genpact, Hexaware, Ericsson, and many others more as well. So scrolling down below, you can of course check out all of the customer reviews that our dear learners leave for us, and you will have more questions as well. For example, we have put in a very detailed FAQ section, and we understand that you might have more questions after reading the FAQ as well. Well, just before that, ladies and gentlemen, give me 1 second so that I can fulfill my promise for all the people who have stayed till this point of video. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have followed through till here, thank you so much, and pretty much make use of this coupon code. This is a coupon code YouTube30, YOUTUBE in caps 30 in numeric, to get flat 30% off on all of the courses we sell here at Intellipaat. Ladies and gentlemen, this 30% off can be the big kickstart that you need to launch yourself into a successful IT path. This is the most fresh start you are going to get right now, because this is the start of a decade. It's only March still, and you can be done with this entirety of the program before 2020 ends, and you can be called as a data science architect master, and of course pretty much you can be on your way to become the data scientist that probably you thought of becoming all those years or months ago. So ladies and gentlemen, on that note, you have reached the end of this session. If you have any queries, any video requests, any suggestions, or anything else that you want to tell us, head to the comment section now and do let us know there. But if you're willing to pick up a course and you're confused about what course is right for you, anything regarding scheduling or what you're going to learn, if you want to learn about the trainers or whatever questions you have regarding course, guys, our course advisors stand by 24 hours of the day, 7 days of the week, 365 days of the year. So make sure you call us on the numbers given. You have the Indian number and the United States number given on the screen, and it's of course free. So ladies and gentlemen, make sure to call us up right now. But if you're not much of a call person, if you like writing mails, you can shoot us a mail, sales@intellipaat.com, and we'll get back to you at the earliest. And of course, our team here is standing by 24/7 with our course advisors, waiting to help all of the learners achieve their dreams. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you have a beautiful day ahead, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a nice day.